Greetings, I'm Ricky R. Levon, author of the book, The Indignation, a Bible study on the book of Nahum. Let's be honest, when you're writing, you have an idea on how you want your audience to receive your words. What I mean by that is, we have a message we're trying to relay, and it's through the book, story, novel, Bible study, screenplay, or anything else that we give to our audience. So, when thinking of the subject, think about how you want to guide your audience. Let me just give you the example of the book we're talking about. In the book of Nahum, the prophet wrote about the destruction with unparalleled happiness, thrill, and joy of an enemy empire. This message was great for Nahum's audience, but might not relate to most people in the 21st century. Well, not quite exactly. And when adapting this book for a Bible study, I wanted people to relate to their situation, to the Assyrian Empire falling instead of a group or country or person. This way it was easier to include everyone. I didn't want a bunch of folks reading Indignation and then praying for their enemies to be murdered, tortured, or maimed. That sounds crazy, but I'm quite sure that probably would, and might actually happen. Hope that doesn't happen, but that's one of those things. And then you would have them to use Nahum to back up their point when praying about the unfortunateness of someone else. Instead, by changing a person that might be bothering you and changing it to a situation or an issue or a problem, it takes the individual people that you're praying about out of it, and it relies more on the dilemma that is causing the pain. When shifting focus for Indignation, I had to know my audience, and that's something that all of us have to do. This is something that all authors and people should know. Who are you talking or writing to? Who is your audience? What do they like to read? And what would be the response to your words? Let me say that again. You need to also kind of know a little bit of what will be their response to your words. If you toss out some aggressive conversation pieces, could that lead your audience to go out and cause harm or do something? Murder mysteries, do not write murder mysteries for people to get an idea on how to commit murder. It's more like just a fantasy, it's a story, it's a device to be able to tell something, and people read it. They're like, wow, that's really interesting, but then they walk away from that. People who look at horrors or who look at thrillers or who look at like fantasy stories and not actually trying to do the actual magic they might see, or maybe some of the science fiction type stuff that would probably get them killed in real life. But it's so there's a certain break, and you have to understand, like, okay, people read this stuff. Will they look at it and say, wow, that was really entertaining, but then keep it there? Or do you have an audience that will read your stuff and then say, I will do that? So please know your audience. Because I would say that most people, most people do not want to inspire others to violence. Of course, you do have those who do, but most don't. So instead, make sure that your writing will lead to a positive result. And by shifting your audience focus sometimes, depending upon the subject that you're talking about, can also shift them from doing something good instead of trying to go for something bad. A person can shift idea by acknowledging that a particular message, what it could be. For example, in this particular book, Indignation, I don't ignore what Nahum was saying about Assyria. But oftentimes, I would also go back and try to remind the readers, say, hey, even though Nahum was talking about Assyria and this particular country or this particular king and how he was going after them, relate that to your situation of a financial issue, of a health issue, or a social issue, or something of that nature. So you replace that with that instead of an actual person. It's kind of constantly in there, almost repetitive, because the idea was for them to remember it in their mind, to not necessarily go after somebody. And because it comes up a lot in the Bible of what Nahum was trying to say, so I had to make sure to put a lot, to try to change it, which is okay. But constantly push your ideals to the people so that way you could influence them in case you're using a subject that might be a little difficult in a positive direction. Also, when you're guiding people towards the way of what you want, be emphasizing how people should view certain things. For example, in Nahum, I was very upfront and very honest. I even said, like, hey, Nahum's subject matter is on this. So what we're going to try to do is use this subject matter to look at it differently, to apply it to us. So no one thought that I was trying to dupe them, and everyone knew exactly where the book or where the subject matter was coming from. But at least the choice was there for the reader to use the book from Nahum as an example, but they can kind of apply it in a different way. At least the choice was there. Now, if someone wants to read and say, I don't care what he says, I'm going to just put in here Gary or Julie or Bob or Tyrone or whatever, then fine. That is on them. But at least the opportunity was there to try to shift the focus from some individual and then try to put it on just a situation of, like, you know, I need help, I need this, whatever the subject might be, or the issue or the problem. Well, that's all for now, but I want to thank you so much for your support. Good luck in all you create and write, and I hope you're able to get the best out of your audience and readers. Please be blessed in all you do, and if you want, check out more on the Indignation in the description and get the book for yourself. Have a great day.